When you think about the stereotypical occupation that most Asians have, you would think about the doctors, engineers, and lawyers. Well, this adds to the stigma that most Asian Americans have to be successful and high achievers. In New York Times, William Peterson's success story, Japanese American Style, it states that in the 1960s, most Japanese Americans were actually doing better than the other groups in the US. Japanese Americans received higher levels of education and a higher occupational attainment. But with the supporting evidence and the interview of an Asian American dropout, they both support the idea that Asian Americans, being the model minority, might not be entirely true. With this continuous belief that Asian Americans are all generally successful, there is evidence that proves otherwise. There is a huge number of Americans whose descent comes from countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos that have achieved great academic success. But hidden behind that idea is a unaccountable number of Asian Americans that do struggle, but they are often overlooked. Based on the data from the US Bureau in Yang's journal, it states that 25.2% of Asian Americans achieve a bachelor's or higher, as compared to the 15.5% of Americans overall. This shows that Asians are indeed doing well, and they have therefore earned the model minority status. However, based on the same data from before, the proportions of the various Southeast Asian countries range from 5.9% to 14.8%, and these numbers are similar to those of the African Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And what is important to note is that children of immigrants still have to deal with obstacles such as miscommunication with others in school, with their peers, with their teachers, due to their limited knowledge of the English language. For example, middle school, all students are permitted to take a STAR test, which tests your mastery of a specific subject. And this could increase the student's risk of dropping out due to its ability to hold students back a grade and therefore making them eligible to graduate and also preventing the ultimate goal of pursuing a higher education. Qi Yin Yang does provide some of the clues of what could be done to fix this mindset that society has. Yang believes in the simple idea that all Asian Americans shouldn't be generalized into this model minority status that finds success in the US easily. She offers recommendations where the first one stating that the researchers should find better information to accurately generalize the Asian American community. The second recommendation stating that schools should integrate the Southeast Asian language to improve communication between students and teachers, and it could also lessen the chances of students being discriminated against. Yang's third and fourth recommendation are linked in terms of supporting the community socially and financially. And this could help them break the language barrier and increase the financial incentive given to students to increase their motivation to pursue higher learning. In Wexler's Dropout Prevention and the Model Minority Stereotype, Reflections from an Asian American Dropout, he includes a data study that found a correlation between achievement and race, which was proven by aggregate statistics. The findings made researchers begin to create an expectation and ideal for each race based on false conclusions and assumptions. The trend of high school completion rates further enforces the model minority myth by clearly explaining that Asian Americans had the highest percentage of high school completion rates. And that was 95.5% compared to the 94.2% of whites. These percentages are deceiving in a way that it's due to its tied to the model minority myth, which believes that all Asians are expected to attain great academic success. People believing this way would lead people to believe that Asian Americans are all hardworking and persevere through their tough moments. And this causes people to draw false assumptions and generalize all Asians into this one homogeneous group. One example is Andy, which is an Asian American high school dropout, where he details the challenges he faced before making the forbidden decision to drop out and he also inputs his opinion on what society should change regarding his issue with the school system. Andy, throughout his life, struggled in his school career. He never met both his own and his parents' expectations. Andy dropped out of school early and he went to work as a waiter in a local restaurant, and he also taught other dropouts through a GED program he had previously been a part of. In the interview, Andy goes on to talk about the fact that most high school students actually exhibit indications of at-risk behavior of dropping out. But because he didn't have that support system to really pay attention to what's going on with him, he eventually dropped out. And this is why Andy personally approved the idea that each student should be assigned an adult advocate just to stay connected, just to see someone should be there for them and just have someone to talk to about their issues. To sum it all, despite all the facts and data that supports the idea that Asian Americans are the model minority, there are still many factors that are often ignored, and it's overlooked when considering the overall Asian American community. It is unfortunate for the Asian Americans that are struggling to live up to their standards, but are often disregarded due to the popular belief that all Asians are successful academically and socially. Thank you for listening. And these are my notes for the, the speech. Thank you.